All right, guys, so now what I want us to focus on is the rhythm and the toss. Very important. You get it right, you're maximizing on power. You get it wrong, lots of power leaks going on. So the two main mistakes I see, we've already talked about it a little bit, is the idea of going really quick. Lots of people, especially when it's down together, up together, they can tend to do the up even faster than the tossing arm. And if that takes the lead, you're gonna be forced to wait and then hit your serve. You're not gonna hit a very big serve. The other thing is, if you do the opposite, and you kind of lag down here, now you can build a lot of power because the racket head, this is something you want, is a lag in your serve. The racket head's gotta wait down here, and then it's gotta speed up all at once. So that's a good thing. So if I have that lag down here, then I'm forced to speed up a lot, and that can add a lot of power to your serve. You actually want to play with that. You can see that that serve came pretty big, but you can't have it wait too long, because then the longer it waits down here, that means you're tossing the ball higher. And if you have a very high toss, then it's going to be hard to time. So even though this is building a lot of racket head speed last second, you might not be maxing out on your timing. Plus, if you're playing on a windy day, things like that, you know, the more nervous you get, the timing gets tougher. So that's another concern I have, is you might be going along fine in a match, and then all of a sudden as you get tight, your serve may go away. Focus on that. If you notice that you have a big lag, you know, how do you serve under pressure? Because that is a tough timing. So you're here, we won't jump yet, we're not ready to jump. We're here, we're waiting down, and then you speed up. So again, you can see that ball went in the net. Whenever we're adding things that are tough timing, you notice how many times I've hit the serve in the net. So what is the ideal toss? What I like to think about is that ball being just a little over my racket tip at full extension. Full extension meaning I'm all the way up here, and that ball is just a little bit above that. So when I see the ball stop, I know it's time to then accelerate. So I don't have to think about it. So I've got a slight lag, so I'm here, I've got a slight lag, it stops, I see it up there, now it's time to snap. The more you do that, especially under pressure situations, you start to develop automatic timing that you don't have to think about. So you can see the lag, you can see the snap. There's a slight lag, but as soon as that ball stops, I'm ready to swing. Just a quick tip to myself too, I'm hitting that net because I'm kind of curious to see if I'm making it for you guys. So on this one, I'm going to do the lag, I'm going to snap, but I'm not going to look right away. So I'm going to work on correcting myself. A big part of being able to be good at tennis is self-correction. So I'm here, going to lag, look at the ball. Didn't really look, I looked at the ball up here but didn't look there, and I could see out of the corner of my eyes that went over the net and in. All right, now how do we start to regulate the toss height? I've given a lot of lessons on the toss to students over the years, and since we're on the tennis court, we're always thinking tennis, lots of times we just don't think common sense. So what's going to really control the height of your toss is the speed of your arm. So all you have to do is, if you're like, oh, I've got a chronically low toss. I know that Pete showed a power killer that if you're hitting in this L, your toss is too low, and then you're pushing the serve. I don't want that. Well, then you know that your tossing motion is too slow, and you also probably stop yourself. You probably stop and don't keep rising. So you see this, it's too slow, it's right there, the ball's low. You speed up the arm a little bit and you elongate the tossing arm. Now all of a sudden you're getting that ball higher, all right? So you can kind of guess what's next is, if the toss is too high, if you have a very high toss, you probably have a very quick delivery with your arm, and then that ball's going way, way up there, and then that becomes extremely hard to time. So then you just have to really moderate the speed of your hand. That's how you're going to get that ideal toss to where the ball is just over the racket face, and then when you see the ball stop, that's when you know it's time to pop, okay? The next thing is for your toss to be consistent. So important to have a consistent toss is you don't want a bent arm on your toss, okay? So that's another thing I see people have, kind of like they get set like this. Look at this right here. And then they go, and then they got some elbow involved. And this is another thing that's going to get hard to be consistent with your toss. That was a good toss, but it's hard to be consistent when you're in here, especially when you get nervous. So you want your arm pretty straight. And remember, we talked about the cradle the baby and then out. That's what we want. And final tip with the toss is we want the toss in these 3 fingers. And then what you can do is you can just practice that toss, figure out where you want that contact to be. If you are, let me move over here so we can draw a spot on the ground. If you are not jumping into the serve, you want the toss to land out to side, right about there. See that? Right about there. So you want it out into the green, because if it's even with the baseline, you're then still hitting a little bit behind you. So that's going to take some power away. The more you're hitting even and behind, you're taking power away and control away from your serve. You want it out in front, but you don't have to lose your balance. See, so if it's too far out in front, if it's out there and I have to go chasing, especially if I'm not a jumper, then I'm going to start to fall this way and again lose power, okay? Lose control. We want it right where it's very comfortable to hit. So just take your hand, extend it out into the court, and open up your fingers. That's about where you want it. So again, you're right on the baseline, take your hand, extend it out. Look at how I am to the side here. So we're going to extend it out and drop. Now, if I'm in that area, it's very easy and comfortable to hit. If we are jumping, it's a little different. I might take 1 foot inside the court and drop. And then that will let me know, okay, now I want to go out a little further out there into the court and hit that serve. And that's what we're going to come up with, guys. That's what we're going over next, is the jump. We're going to work on jumping into the serve. This is optional. This is kind of like bonus stuff. If you want to be a jumper on your serve, I'm going to teach you how to do it. And you make up your mind if it's something you want to try.